Well, the other day, Sam Altman, you know who Sam Altman is, right? The guy who is now running OpenAI and consorting with Microsoft in order to build what he expects to be the maybe the biggest company in the world based on ChatGPT and whatnot. Anyway, he made some amazing headlines when he said that he is in serious discussions to raise $7 trillion in order to provide the necessary capital he believes is needed to create a domestic chip manufacturing capacity, along with some additional things that would go along with that. Well, now, Sam's vision is nothing if it isn't audacious, but it fails credulity on so many levels that it is a wonder that anyone ever even gave it a headline, other than for its nuttiness. And maybe that's really what it was all about. But I'm going to take it apart here and show you where this is just beyond ridiculous. It just makes zero sense. And I think you'll agree with me, but I certainly want you to comment below and let me know if you think I'm right, or if you think Sam actually could raise 7 trillion. And then if he could raise 7 trillion, would he want to raise 7 trillion? And if he could raise 7 trillion, could he actually deploy 7 trillion? I mean, this is a massive, horrendous, crazy number. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. All right, let's start with number A. There is no question about the shortages that Sam wants to solve. He's right. In order to get to artificial general intelligence, to become what he wants to artificial general intelligence to become, and in order to do it in a reasonable time horizon, we have shortages of semiconductors, chips, data centers, and the power needed to run the data centers. Elon Musk even has recently spoken about these shortages, and he included transformers as just one of them, kind of almost a minor shortage that has already got a 2-year waiting list, even before the ramp that everybody sees happening with regard to data centers and all the necessary energy to run them. B, semiconductors are primarily manufactured in Taiwan, a very friendly country to the United States, but one that is noticeably threatened by China's clearly stated purpose to reunify the rogue nation with the motherland, and the implications that this could happen by force. So getting more semiconductor fabs built, preferably in the US, is a good strategic move. Sam says he preferred to do most of the fabs in the US, but there's no reason to think that Arab money that he's seeking wouldn't result in a lot of those manufacturing fabs going to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, or other similar locations that are much less secure, if you will. Anyway, here's a little bit about what the Wall Street Journal had to say about Sam's plan. It says such a sum of investment would dwarf the current size of the global semiconductor industry. Global sales of chips were 527 billion last year, and expected to raise to 1 trillion annually by 2030. So you wouldn't need 7 trillion of investment to put out 1 trillion per year in product. That just doesn't make any sense. And you wouldn't have all of the business, because the 1 trillion is already the trajectory that we're seeing. So do you need 2 trillion or 5 trillion? How many trillions do you need by then? Anyway, it says here the costly equipment needed to run chip factories last year there was only an expenditure of $100 billion, according to an estimate by the industry group SEMI. So it's been $100 billion last year. So do we need to increase that to $1 trillion a year? Is that Sam's plan? Well, therein lies problem number one. Assuming that Sam Altman has as much or more bandwidth than Elon Musk, he wants to unilaterally, by himself, just one company, build out, well, using lots of other help from other companies. He wants to build out semiconductor fabs, CPU manufacturing facilities, data centers with power capabilities on a scale larger than anything that Elon Musk is currently planning in energy alone. Where in the world does he get the following resources in order to do such a thing? Hey, this is Randy Kirk. You know what to do. You need to hit the like button if this is helpful, useful, and fun information. And then, of course, hit notify, because why do you want to hit notify? Well, later on today, I've got a Brian Wang video coming, and he is going to take what Jeff Lutz has been saying about Elon Musk reducing the cost every quarter by 2% of the sexy vehicles. And he's going to take it to the next level and talk about what that might look like in 2025, 26, and beyond. I think you're going to love that show. So you want to hit notify for that. And then we've got Sir Basher again on tomorrow. And then later this afternoon, as always on Saturday, we will do the news that happened since Friday night up until Saturday night. And of course, nobody else does the news on Saturday except this channel. So lots of reasons to hit notify. In order to hit notify, you need to hit subscribe. And we've passed the 20,000 level. Thank you so much for supporting the channel so much over the 14 months that we have been in business. And then support the channel by buying Cybertruck bottle openers. They've started to pick up sales. Most of them, I have to admit right now, are on Amazon, where people are paying $30. And you have the chance to spend 25 or even less. Just look in the information below to find out how you can get your Cybertruck bottle opener and also how you can join Patreon. All right. So later today, all right, let's talk about, here's some of the problems. Come on, come with me on this journey. Number one, where's he going to get the human talent? The fabs that are currently being built in the United States are woefully short of the human talent in order to get them done. Even with the help of the Taiwanese talent loaned to the effort, they're struggling to get the first fab up and running. According to the Wall Street Journal, and among the many tricky questions facing Altman's efforts is where the new chip plants would be built. He would prefer the U.S., where the Biden administration already is expecting to award billions of dollars in subsidies to TSMC and other major chip makers in coming weeks to fund new factories. In coming weeks, coming months, and coming years, anyway, to fund new factories. But those companies face challenges expanding in the U.S. TSMC, for example, has pointed to delays, a shortage of skilled workers, and high costs at its $40 billion project in Arizona. At its $40 billion project in Arizona, $7 trillion is 175 times, 175 times as large as that project. Let that sink in. All right, next, manufacturing facilities. This would require the most ambitious effort to construct manufacturing and data center facilities ever undertaken by a company or a government. Where does he get the raw materials, the equipment, the manpower to even build the buildings and outfit them to make the products? Note how long it is taking to ramp the megapacks. Does he fancy himself to be that much better or that much smarter than Elon, as are other industrialists who have had opportunities over the years to build major manufacturing facilities? The scale of this in terms of just that alone is beyond comprehension, and by itself would throw incredibly cold water over this entire plan. What about the engineering hurdles? So he intends to simultaneously tackle all of these complex product lines, which assumedly would be constantly iterating in order to produce better and better product, keeping up with the current state of the art or surpassing it, because if he's making stuff that's not as good as somebody else's, then why build it at all? Where will he get the top engineering talent for all of that, or just part? With Elon's companies growing so rapidly, he's absorbing all of the top talent, all the top engineering talent between SpaceX and Tesla. The number one and number two places that engineers want to go. Maybe Sam Altman will now get in there. He'll be number three. Maybe he'll go to number one. But we're not talking about something on the scale of what Tesla and SpaceX are doing. Throw in Neuralink, throw in, no, we're talking about something on an entirely different scale, something where he's talking about $7 trillion in investment, where Tesla and SpaceX together haven't come close to having CapEx of even $1 trillion over 20 years. It's just nuts. All right. Deployment of capital at this level, this is number three, actually number four, I think. Deployment of capital at this level has never been tried by such experts at using capital as Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, General Electric, and so many more. You see, you get rated, you get scored based on how effectively you deploy capital. When you deploy your capital, what kind of return on investment are you expecting? So if you're going to deploy $7 trillion of capital over what? Over 5 years, over 7 years, $1 trillion a year of capital, which no company has ever deployed capital anything close to that rate, then what kind of return on investment are you expecting from that? Are you expecting the levels of return on investment that Tesla is going to get on their robots or on their robotaxi or even on Sexy or on the rockets with Starlink? The return on investment from that is, going to be billions and trillions of dollars with way less investment than what he's talking about. So what kind of level of income is he expecting from the $7 trillion deployment? The craziest part, this is just me, number 5, is that there's no free cash flow from this effort. There's no free, you're going to deploy $7 trillion in capital from borrowing or from investment in OpenAI or whatever. You're going to take the $7 trillion, you're going to put it in, and you're either going to get no flywheel at all happening, no income no free cash flow that can help make this thing happen. Or are you saying that you actually need more than $7 trillion over the next 5 to 7 years in order to get this done? And therefore you're going to use the $7 trillion and it's going to throw off a few more trillion during the time? It makes no sense. On the other hand, he thinks there is even more need for CapEx than the $7 trillion. I can't figure it out. The amounts that Altman has discussed would be outlandishly large by the standards of corporate fundraising. This is the Wall Street Journal again. Larger than the national debt of some major global economies and bigger than giant sovereign wealth funds. They go on. Total U.S. corporate debt issuance last year was $1.44 trillion total. That's for everything. The combined market capitalization of Microsoft and Apple is $6 trillion. You're beginning to get an idea of the size of what he's talking about. We're talking about investing as much every year for 5 to 7 years as all corporate debt issuance for the entire United States, effort in corporate debt, procurement and deployment. The obvious problem here is that he will suck up investment capital from any other worthwhile project. Moreover, lots and lots of people are going after that same money. There's a limited number of debt or investment that can be made. So if Sam Altman is scooping up $1 trillion a year or $2 trillion the first year or whatever his numbers that he thinks he's going to do, where's everybody else going to get capital? He's going to be sucking up almost all of the capital that's necessary in order to grow everybody else's business. And to the extent that he's adding another layer, an entire doubling, let's say, of the corporate debt issuance, then what's that going to do to the cost of capital? What's it going to do to the cost of the capital he wants? What's it going to do to the cost of capital for everybody else? Massive. Wall Street Journal doesn't mention this at all. It's just crazy. But the Wall Street Journal does say this: realizing his ambitions for chips and other areas needed to support AI would require persuading a complex, globe-spanning network of funders, industry partners, and governments, including getting the assent of the U.S., for which the semiconductor industry is a strategic priority. Altman has met with Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and discussed the initiative, according to people familiar with the matter. Quote, OpenAI has had productive discussions about increasing global infrastructure and supply chains for chips, energy, and data centers, which are crucial for AI and other industries that rely on them, according to an OpenAI spokeswoman. We will continue to keep the U.S. government informed, given the importance to national priorities, and looking forward to sharing more details at a later date. Obviously, not stated by the Wall Street Journal or anybody else, there are serious questions about the dominance of such a plan. We're already rightfully concerned about the power associated with the Mag 7 companies. There seems little question that the U.S. government will need to step in soon to break up some or all of these companies, as they are monopolistic in fact, even if they're not over-profiting from their powerful positions. They are using it for all kinds of other monopolistic efforts, including how they control our minds. And that's going to become an ever bigger problem, especially with OpenAI. Why would the US or any other government be interested in helping OpenAI to set up a plan of such dominance in so many industries, including one as dangerous as artificial intelligence? The Wall Street Journal says the UAE government would be an important part of the effort, assuming that the US government allows it to play such a role. One of the people said, yeah, really. Elon Musk, this is me again. Elon Musk is shooting for stars. I'm sorry, he's shooting for Mars. He's ultimately shooting for the stars, and he's building quite an empire along the way. It is entirely possible that he'll soon have the largest public company and the largest private company under his control. But in building out these two companies, the scale and capital required is a pittance. It's minuscule. It's like this big compared to what Sam Altman is asking for in this audacious approach. What in the world could he possibly create that would be so much better than all of the activities of Tesla combined with Starlink, with SpaceX? It's not possible. It is crazy. It's nuts. And nobody called him out on it. I mean, the Wall Street Journal throws up a couple of objections, but nobody's calling them up on the fact that it is nuts. Now, let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Blast me away. Tell me, no, Randy, can't you see that if artificial general intelligence happens and if Sam Altman is in control of all this, that it will blow up, that it'll contribute, I don't know, $20 trillion a year in profit at some point? I don't know. Maybe it is going to throw off 20 trillion a year. It's possible, but let me know in the comments below what you think. All right, so let's start at the other side from what I normally start at. It's time to buy some Cybertruck bottle openers. You know they're fun. You know they're great. I just had somebody else come back in yesterday and buy another gift. Somebody who's been buying before has come back in, needed another gift. You can drop ship these, you know. You can send me the order, give me the address where you need it to ship, and I'll ship it off wherever you want to do it. They're fantastic. Buy a bunch of them, hand them out at the office for some special event. I use them as promotionals you've got buyers or companies that you're doing business with that you can buy a bunch of these and hand them out. So many different uses. So please, it helps support the channel. Love to have you participate in that. And then if you're getting benefit, if you're getting usefulness, if any of this is fun or beneficial to you, we're not going to put this whole effort behind a paywall like some companies, like the Wall Street Journal, for instance. So I have to pay to see these articles. Anyway, so I'm not going to do that, but maybe you could just help out by throwing a couple of $3 over there to Patreon, or maybe 5 or 10. And of course, you probably already know about the items that you get if you do join Patreon at the $5 or the $10 level. All right, then hit like, subscribe, and notify. And that's all I've got for you. I will be seeing you a couple more times today. It's been great talking to you.